What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live here on a Monday night. It's been about 5 days since we've streamed. We last streamed on Wednesday. Unfortunately, did not have enough to justify a stream in that time. But we're still going to update you on the Anfernee Simons and Jerami Grant trade market, if it exists. Also, the stream should be a little bit shorter because, Eric, it's freaking hot, man.
Yeah.
It's hot, no AC. We're out here struggling, but still glad to go live. Glad to join you guys for this stream. We're going to be streaming a lot in the next couple of weeks. We're going to be streaming Summer League. That should be a lot of fun. Blazers' first game is on Saturday. On Thursday, we will preview Summer League for the Portland Trail Blazers. And, oh man, Eric, that background is loud, bro.
Alright.
Yeah. Oh, man. Anyway. Chat, hopefully you guys are having a good day. You can see what we're going to talk about on the left. We got some names to talk about. We got a Blazer that was introduced today. We got a 17-year-old looking good against future Hall of Famers. We got Summer League, free agency. We'll talk about the DeMar DeRozan signing with the Sacramento Kings. And then at the end of the stream, we will update you on Anfernee Simons and Jerami Grant. That's going to be today's show. We'll be live again on Thursday. Then Saturday, Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, I think, is the Summer League schedule for the Blazers. That should be fun. And we'll see if things are better. Eric.
Yo.
How's it going?
Is that better?
Not really.
Yeah. Well, I might not be able to stream then because I can't turn the AC off for the rest of my family.
Yeah, well, we'll make it work. Like I said, shorter stream today. Just mute in between talking. That's fine. That'll do for now. Back to the old setup as well. I need to figure out something to do with the bottom ticker because obviously the NBA season's done, so that thing is kind of pointless now. It would be sick if it showed Summer League games, but unfortunately it does not. Anyway, Eric, let's just jump straight into the first topic. Deni Avdija.
Well, don't.
Unless you have an intro.
The lead.
Well, what is the lead?
We didn't talk about meeting up to play basketball on Saturday.
Oh yeah, I mean,
because we have to talk about our own hoops glory, right?
Yeah. You know, I'm sure people out there will love us starting off a stream with this.
No, I'm just kidding. But we had a good turnout, had some fun games. If you're interested in playing in the future, come join us. Let me know on Discord or Twitter.
Yeah, it was good times, decent runs. Enjoyed it. Anyway, let's jump into the first topic of discussion, which is Deni Avdija introduced today by the Portland Trail Blazers. That trade is official. I still don't know the exact 2028 second-round pick that the Blazers gave up. Maybe Eric can correct me, or well, he's not even here, so. But 2028 second, 2030 second, 14th pick, the rights to Bub Carrington, as well as a 2029 first-round pick, the second best of Boston, Milwaukee, and Portland, headed to Washington along with Malcolm Brogdon. Please get back to Deni Avdija. Introduced him today. He said the trade was a bit of a surprise, but he's just coming in ready to work, ready to make his teammates better. He's a guy that I think will be good for the culture of this team. That's why I liked the Donovan Clingan and Deni Avdija pickups. Both smart players, both hard workers, both willing to do what it takes to win basketball games, both willing to defend. And it was cool to hear him talk to Blazers reporters today.
Yeah, both the number one takeaway I hear when I hear both of them talk is just how much they like to win and how much they like to impact winning. And I think it's cool to have a couple of players that are like that because, quite frankly, I think that's something that has been missing from this team is that winning attitude. I don't know if it'll translate to winning immediately, probably not. Or in a lot of our cases, maybe hopefully not. But it is good to have players that know how to win, that play the game thinking about things in a winning type way, and we've been missing that, I think, in the past few years. Just having an overall high team IQ type players.
Yeah, especially that can defend. Like it's a combination I like. Offensive IQ plus defense, passing ability, maybe shooting ability with both those guys. Just well-rounded, hard-nosed, will play hard, and we've been missing that. Guys that can do little things well, and that's what both these guys are. So super excited to see Donovan Clingan. Blazers have already started summer league practices. We'll talk about that in a bit, but Eric, the Capture the Flag sweepstakes are already in full swing because Cooper Flagg got invited to play on the select team at Team USA camp, preparing for the upcoming Olympics. If you don't know the way it works, you have the Olympic team for the US. That's the team with LeBron and Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, Bam Adebayo, Devin Booker, right? Bunch of big names players. Anthony Davis is on that team. Drew Holiday, Tyrese Halliburton. I'm forgetting a couple of names, but basically the star-studded team that you're going to see in the Olympics is Team USA. But then when they practice, when they prepare for the Olympics, they compete against a select team that is made up of a bunch of younger players, young up-and-coming stars. Guys like Amen Thompson are there. You even have some older, kind of lesser-known players such as Peyton Pritchard. And usually it's guys that are already in the NBA. Cooper Flagg, at only 17 years of age, the number one prospect in high school, was supposed to be going into his senior year of high school this upcoming season, but reclassified up a grade. He got invited to the select team to participate in practices against Team USA, against all these future Hall of Famers. And by the looks of it, some of the practice footage we've seen, he is holding his own. And that's impressive for any young up-and-coming NBA player, let alone a dude that has not set foot on a college court yet. Eric, how impressed are you by the little bit of footage we've seen from Cooper Flagg? Is it an overreaction to be impressed by him just having plays in general where he's holding his own? Because, my goodness, man, he's the number one pick next year for a reason, but I didn't expect him to be able to actually look like he belongs on a court with future Hall of Famers right now.
Yeah, I guess one NBA coach said he was the best player on the floor at times. That's crazy, man. I like that he seems to not be fazed at all playing against some of these superstars. He's going right at him. He's not going to be perfect or anything. That'd be ridiculous to think he would be. But you hear, Ron Artest back in the day said at one of these that LeBron, when he came in, was showing up guys like Michael Jordan and stuff like that. Or Kobe, or I forgot who it was, but you hear legends like that of these kind of things. For us Blazer fans, it was always that Jermaine O'Neal was the best player in some of the practices, and that was on a team with Scottie Pippen and Damon Stoudemire, Arvydas Sabonis, Rasheed Wallace, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was Jermaine O'Neal that dominated practices and stuff. If you can ball, man, you can ball. And Cooper Flagg, I think he's just – because there were a lot of – it was weird. A few months ago, right before the Hoop Summit, there was all these people who were, starting to, question Flagg a lot. His jump shot was being criticized. Some of his people just thought his game wasn't translatable to the NBA for some reason, and I think he's just completely putting all that to bed. And unless something drastic happens, or someone like Ace Bailey just balls out completely better than Flagg, which would be surprising considering how much hype Flagg is getting. I think he's pretty much solidified himself as the number one pick, and it's like going back to Wemby and LeBron drafts and stuff like that, where it's very rare that the number one pick for sure ahead of time,
Yeah, and he is the number one pick for sure in next year's draft. Ace Bailey is not good enough to hold a candle to him. Ace Bailey's good, but has flaws, man. Ace Bailey would not be holding his own out there against Team USA right now. Cooper Flagg is, and that's for a reason. High feel, shot-making ability, 6'8", 6'9", athletic, long arms, can defend, can do it all, man. And that mid-range shot, like, is butter. And he's athletic enough to finish at the rim. Like, it's just the feel on top of all of that is the only reason why he's able to hold his own, because most times you don't have guys that young that actually know how to function on a floor at that level. And that's just a testament to his feel for the game. I don't know if he's ever going to be like a 6, 7, 8 assists per game guy, like high IQ in terms of being able to make super advanced reads, but just his feel for the right play to make is already there, and that's impressive.
Yeah, for sure. And then on top of that, you hear that he can get switched on to guards and just completely stay in front of him, no problem. Like, he's not getting burnt at all. Like, it's like crazy. But
so sorry, comments in chat. Eric, I just gotta shut this down right now. This time last year, Ron Holland was a lock. Just saying, Cooper Flagg is 10 times the prospect Ron Holland is. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Like, come on.
Okay. There's a difference between, because someone has to be number one every year, right? Going into the year.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between, a lot of people had this guy number one, and this person is for sure the number one pick next year. Like, a lot of people had Ron Holland as the top prospect, but there weren't many saying that, he's an absolute lock, surefire number one pick, like no doubt about it type player. Those are very rare, and I'm trying to think of an example in my head of a guy, I mean, maybe like, if you're talking about like a Mikey Williams that's like years away from being drafted, those guys sometimes don't pan out. But this close to the draft, a year away, with this much hype on a guy being a number one pick, how often does that guy like bust or be like not be good? Like, I'm trying to think of an example of someone who got that much hype as like a number one pick and then didn't end up being good.
I know. Yeah, there really isn't that I can think of. Like, I don't think he's Wemby level. I don't think anyone may ever be Wemby level, because Wemby is insane. But Cooper Flagg, man, is the number one pick in next year's draft. And I feel like if you're trying to say he might not, it's just to be contrarian. Because he'll get compared to Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey's a little flashier dribble moves. Ace Bailey doesn't get to the rim. Ace Bailey doesn't defend like Cooper Flagg. Ace Bailey doesn't pass like Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg is more athletic, a more functional athlete, and his ball handling dribble moves are more productive at getting him downhill. Like, Ace Bailey is like pull off some dribble moves, shake his defender, shoot a pull up mid-range shot. Like, Ace Bailey, like, Cooper Flagg is more LeBron James, Ace Bailey is more Paul George, right? Obviously not perfect comparisons, but like, that's the difference in terms of players to me.
Yeah. So Landon says Flagg could very well get there, but I don't see him being a number one on a contender. He can be that second option who scores 20 and plays elite defense, but I see way more potential in Ace Bailey being him. It's okay if you like see something in Ace Bailey. I mean, it's a lot of people think it's close or whatever, but like, I don't see how you can hear these stories and see these clips and say like, he doesn't look like a number one option to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you're watching if you're not seeing a number one option, because he looks like dominant in some of these, and he can handle the ball like a point guard. He's bringing the ball up against Drew Holiday and then switching, like Anthony Davis is switching onto him and he's hitting step back threes on him. Like, I don't know how that's not a number one option, or how that's like a secondary player.
I know, man. Like, I love Jason Tatum in high school. Like, that was one of the, like, it's his junior year, I was in on Jason Tatum. Cooper Flagg has all the scoring potential that Jason Tatum had. I just don't understand. Like, I feel like it's just because he has so much hype, people are going to microanalyze him and find any weaknesses and make them out to be something bigger than they are. And some of it's just hot takes, contrarian stuff. People did it with Wemby, bro. So people are going to do it with Cooper Flagg. How many people did we hear say, Wemby's such a big risk? somehow drafting a future top 5 player of all time is such a big risk, Eric. I mean, so that's basically what we're going to hear as far as Cooper Flagg. But Cooper Flagg is the number 1 pick in the draft. If the Blazers can get him, that'll change the fortunes of the franchise in a way that only Wemby could change them. Unfortunately, Dame's gone, but it changes the complete trajectory of this franchise. Being able to get a prospect like that, he has the potential to be a generational, in a way, prospect. It's kind of weird to use that term 2 years after Wemby because he's truly generational. Right. And normally you don't get 2 guys like this in 3 years. Cooper Flagg would have went 1 last year. I think he would have went 1.
Not last year, this year.
He would. Yeah, the last draft.
Yeah.
He would have went easily number 1 in this past draft. He would have went number 2 easily, in my opinion, behind Wemby. And then he would have went number 1 over Banchero. Like, I think he's a better, more functional player than Banchero. Cooper Flagg's going to be the real deal. He's going to be a future star. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. And normally that's rare. I have not been as confident in a prospect as Cooper Flagg other than Wembanyama. And Cooper Flagg at 17 years of age doing what he's doing at Team USA camp against future Hall of Famers is insane. And that's the thing, is like people are analyzing him as if he's like going into his second year in the NBA. He hasn't even played college yet. You know how much growth he's going to have between now and when he gets in the NBA? You know how much better he's going to get?
Yep. Well, also, I mean, people are bringing up other players in this draft and stuff. That's what's cool is you could be right, people in chat who like other players. And we have a chance of getting, even if we miss out on Flagg, which would be disappointing, but we only have a 14% chance no matter what happens at best. But there are a lot of good players that you could also maybe by this time in a few months, like we'll be saying, oh, this guy would be a good consolation to have because he's better than any prospect we could have had in this past draft as well.
Yeah. Comments saying, it's just a scrimmage. You just don't get it. You can tell that this kid has it. I mean it doesn't matter what it is. You throw a 17-year-old up against future Hall of Famers in their prime. I don't care if it's a scrimmage. I don't care if it's one-on-one. If they're competing against them, that is a really, really good sign. And downplaying that is just silly. He's 17, bro. What were y'all doing when you were 17 years old? I mean, come on. 17 years of age. He's going to be legit. Like, here's the thing, Eric. I talk about, like, people overreact to Summer League and people overreact to, like, a player's rookie season. I think negatively, like, I don't like that because players can always transform themselves from their rookie season to, like, year 5. Players can look completely different. So I don't like overreacting negatively to stuff like this. Sometimes you could just tell that a dude is special. Like, immediately. And just seeing these clips, like, bro, he looks like he belongs against NBA Hall of Famers at 17. So
yeah, well,
he has it. It's just that simple. Don't even need to overthink it.
Right, and I mean, I've been hearing this like, oh, he's playing in Maine. There's no competition there. So then he goes to these AAU tournaments and just freaking dominates everyone. Like, it's not even close. He just, like, outshines everyone. And then people are like, well, wait till he does it in college or against, like, NBA players or whatever. Now he's doing it against NBA players. And you literally have people saying he looks like the best player in these scrimmages. And you're, like, I don't know. At some point, you have to start saying or stop saying, oh, he's got to prove it. Like you said, you can just sometimes you just have that it factor, and I think he's got it, man. I'd be surprised if he's not, like at least a fringe all-star player, like at minimum.
I'd be shocked if he wasn't a top 10 player one day. Like that's how high I am on him. It's simple. And all the people that were pumping the brakes on Wemby are the people that I guess will pump the brakes on Cooper Flagg too. Mm-hmm. So,
and I've been watching the the under 17 USA team just won. I don't remember what tournament that was, but they just won the championship for that. And man, watching Dybonsa and Camp Boozer, those guys are super impressive too. They're a year behind. Neither one of them qualify to be able to reclassify, so they're stuck in another year of college, or in high school, I mean. But man, there's some freaking talent coming up in these next couple drafts. That's why it doesn't really make sense to be good. I think the Blazers recognize that as well.
Yeah. Like, and we had somebody come in, Russell said, have fun blowing it up some more. How many years do you guys think Blazers will be back in playoff contention, if ever? So I assume that comment is coming from a point of frustration with this organization continuing to rebuild and lose. But, guys, let me answer this. Let's get something out of this. If we got out of rebuild mode and got stuck right back in mediocrity, you would complain. We all would complain. If we were stuck in the middle with no hope to contend, but weren't bad enough to have a chance at a guy like Cooper Flagg or have a good draft pick to draft somebody that could make a difference, we would all be complaining. You guys, for the people that are tired of losing and just want to be back in the playoffs, you don't want that as badly as you think. You don't. Because it's basically you missing being in the playoffs. Once you get back in the playoffs and get your ass whooped by a 1 seed, you're not going to be fiending for the playoffs anymore. You're not going to be desperate for the playoffs anymore. It's going to be, okay, what next? We just lost in 4 or 5 games to the 1 seed. We aren't even on the same playing field as them. How do we get to the same playing field as them? And it's a whole nother set of problems. That's suffering too. Maybe it's a little bit more fun throughout the season, and then, oh yeah, we get to talk about a playoff series. Maybe we could shock the world. We win game 1. Oh, maybe we can do it, and then we lose the next 4. We've seen that before. They did that in the bubble against the Lakers. Okay, that was miserable. That sucked. Game 1 was fun, but is years of struggle really just to win 1 playoff game? No. Hell no. So let's get something out of the struggle and rebuild the right way and have a little patience, because patience pays off. And patience will pay off with this team if they trade Grant, trade, maybe 8, I don't know, trade veterans for picks, have a bunch of draft picks in the future, and capitalize on the next 2 drafts. That's the only way they're going to get to contention. I know it's not the most fun thing over the next couple of years, but you're focused on these young players developing. At least they have some fun young players for you to watch next season. And then, hopefully, they can actually find their next superstar in the next couple of drafts. And maybe Scoot or Sharp or someone, I don't know. Maybe they can be a star top 20 player as well. Okay? Then that's when you will have fun, is when that comes to fruition. But getting tired of the rebuild now to the point where it's oh, we just need to stop losing. Okay, you would also be complaining about mediocrity, and nobody likes that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna. We went through this last summer. I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's wrong to want to make the playoffs. If that's what you want, that's what you want. So that's fine. And some people are fine with that. Some people just want to see a competitive team, fun games, or whatever. It's just, I would like to know from the people who don't want to rebuild or don't want to tank again, in your mind, what would have to happen for this team to be good enough to not need another good player added to them? So I guess if Scoot becomes the player we all hope and thought he would be, Sharp pops into a top 10 to 20 player, Klingon's a top 5 center or something, Avdija's the perfect fit at forward and continues growing, maybe this team can get to contention. I don't understand how we get there just by like not tanking, though. You know what I mean? Like I don't understand how you make that leap from where they are. And now if they're this is another interesting question. Maybe you could do a poll. If they're like in playoff contention, like halfway through the season next year, like if they're the 8th seed or something, 50 games into the season around the All-Star break, do you think they should pull the brakes? Because there's going to be some teams that have already pulled the brakes long before that. Or do you think you should just let this team be what it is this season if they're that good? And I'm not even saying they will be. It's just a hypothetical.
Okay, hopefully this question makes sense because I worded it like you worded it.
Sorry.
That's fine. Hit the brakes or let them go for it if they're the 8th seed 50 games into the season. What should they do?
That makes sense.
Eric, my answer is I don't give a flying F about no 8 seed.
So you're sitting Scoot and Sherman stuff the last 30 games? They're gonna come down with a random hamstring or what's their?
It depends on like if they have a 10-game lead on the 9th seed, like you might as well just embrace it, right? Like you're not losing that lead most likely. But if you're like 8th, but you're like 3 games behind the team with 4th best odds at Cooper Flagg, bro, I don't want to get my ass whooped as the 8th seed over having a 10 to 14% chance at a generational prospect. Because guess what? That 10 to 14% chance at a generational prospect gives you a greater chance to ultimately win a championship than getting your ass whooped in the first round. And I want championships, or I at least want to talk about us having a chance for championships. Not, man, we have no assets. Can we please add someone to give us a chance to get to contention? Oh, Kent Bazemore, come on down. Maybe he's a Evan Turner upgrade. Oh, Hassan Whiteside, come on down, man. At least you'll make good memes, but can you help us win games? No, I want championships. Simple. I understand if you want to let young players go for it, blah, blah. I want championships. And when literally everything, literally every move, no matter what, should be to maximize this team's chance of winning a championship in the controllable future.
So Scoot Henderson, thank you Rip City for reminding me what this is. We'll have left knee tendinopathy, and Shaden Sharp's gonna have his right adductor soreness flare up, right? And they're gonna sit out the 3 games for you, Tori.
Yep.
Who's gonna need the core surgery this year?
It's a good question.
Donovan Klingen's gonna because he's a Blazer.
Yeah.
Or
yeah. If they are the 8th seed 50 games into the season, it's probably because Scoot made major steps, Sharp made major steps. Like, there's some good things behind that.
Right.
If you can also tank that, if you can take that and then tank that, then that's the best of both worlds. Young players developed, took bigger steps than you assumed, and then you tank in a loaded draft. Now you're cooking. Now you're cooking.
I'm liking everyone's answers. So it's vastly different. Crossio Logic says that next year you'll want to get another prospect. Year after, no championship, only prospect. There's always going to be a better prospect each year. We don't have
a good enough roster going forward to contend, unless every single thing breaks right. The Blazers need more upside. They need to find their future superstar. That's why they need another really good prospect or two, so that they can find their next superstar. They can find their Anthony Edwards, right? They can find their Luka Doncic, their SGA. The Blazers need to find a guy like that. Unfortunately, I'm not super confident in that guy already being on this team. So if you're just scoffing at potentially getting that guy just to maybe make an 8 seed in the next couple of years, or maybe you can get a play-in win and then get a play-in loss. Like, why? Why? What for? It's just it has no purpose to me.
I think people just don't want to limit the young guys this year, and
I mean, you let them run.
I see that. I see that point.
Here's the thing. You know what limits the young guys? Having Jerami Grant, DeAndre Ayton, Robert Williams, potentially. That limits the young guys. So you trade them away and you're worse, but you let the young guys run free, and you see what the hell happens. And you probably suck, and then you got a chance to get a really good player. And it's not just Cooper Flagg. There's a lot of really good players at the top of this next draft. And that's what you do. And you let the young players play a ton of minutes and let them develop. Let them free, Eric. I agree.
Oh, NBA won't give us Cooper Flagg, says Caleb Wilson. Yeah, good point, man.
Lottery's not rigged. Anyway, fun discussion. Cooper Flagg looks great. 61% said hit the brakes. 39% say let him go for it. Good conversation. And reading chat is fun right now. Shout out to you if you're watching the stream. Participate in the live chat. Let us know what you think. Feel free to argue with anyone who thinks differently than you in the live chat. Just be respectful. Anyway, Summer League underway, Eric. We got California games. Everybody's freaking out about Bronny. He goes 2 for 9 in his first game. People are like, see, he sucks. Like, bro, he's a freaking 4-year project. Why are we like? You should expect him to struggle early on. I don't even want to talk about Bronny. You and Rich, on the last episode of Rip City Retro, if you guys haven't checked that out, go check it out. You and Rich went into the whole Bronny thing, and I thought it was a pretty good conversation. I pretty much agree with both of you guys. Ultimately, like, people are going to pay attention to Bronny. The attention is going to get annoying. Ultimately, you don't have to buy into the attention. He's a long-term project. He's probably not going to play at all, and people are going to forget about him being on the team like halfway through the season, except for Laker fans. And I just don't understand making a big deal about it, whether you love Bronny or hate Bronny because you think he got into the league off nepotism. Like, it truly does not matter, actually, Eric.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much of this is just teams thinking they were going to get LeBron, but I mean, there had to have been other teams considering drafting him if Rich Paul had to threaten them that he wasn't going to play and go to Australia, right? There had to be some teams at least considering drafting him.
Yeah, so or Rich Paul didn't know and just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. I mean, there was rumors that, like, Minnesota, they had, like, the 37th or 38th pick was, like, interested in taking him. I don't know. It's weird. His shot didn't go in, and this is going to sound stupid because, like, I saw so many of these, like, stories after the game, like, Bronny shows he's NBA level worthy and all this like crazy stuff. But I didn't think he looked that bad outside of missing shots. Like, obviously he didn't shoot well, but like his pull-up jumper looked pretty nice, just wasn't going in.
Yeah, he looks like he belongs on a summer league floor, just didn't play too well. Like, he's good enough. I legitimately think he has enough potential where in a draft like this, like if he wasn't LeBron's son, maybe you could have justified taking him. Which, I was not saying that, but the more I looked into it, man, like, he had a rough season this last year, cardiac arrest, all that stuff. He was a McDonald's All-American prospect. He plays defense. He can pass the ball a bit, and shot-wise, like, he looked like a decent shooter until college and just struggled, but his form's fine, so if you can develop that shot, you got a 3-and-D point guard. Like, if he can have a Javon Carter role, that wouldn't shock me. Maybe he's not quite to that level, but I think he at least has a very realistic chance of being good enough down the line to be on an NBA roster, or at least on a two-way. And that's the case for most 55th overall picks. We're just paying a ton of attention to this one because it's Bronny. I get it. That's just why I just do not think it really, all the attention and all that stuff matters because he's a 55th pick to me. Yes, he got a contract probably because he's Bronny, but who freaking cares what the Lakers do with their last roster spot?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Cooper Flagg's 23 is supposed to be, or like I think both you and I agree, should have been one of the most ready to go players in this draft, and
Cooper
he
Flagg's
struggled.
23.
I mean, Dalton Connect. Sorry, I don't know why I have Cooper Flag on it. Dalton Connect. Sorry. So like, I'm not saying that bringing this up to like be overreactionary about Dalton Connect, but like he struggled too. So it's not like players don't struggle in summer league sometimes. So I don't know.
Yep, it happens.
Kind of disappointed that he sat out with knee swelling, though. Hopefully he can play in other summer league games because it is kind of fun to watch him play.
Yeah, it is fun to watch. Just after last year, Brandon Miller was terrible in summer league, and he torched teams his rookie season. Okay, like I don't overreact to summer league struggles. If somebody comes out and dominates summer league, I think you can read more into that than somebody struggling if they're like 19-20. Like Dame came in, dominated summer league, and you could tell like, yeah, he's gonna be good. Okay, somebody like Nick Batum was terrible in summer league and then started his rookie season was fine. So it's a completely new team. Like, these guys are playing on a completely new team, new context, new three-point line, new shot clock, new system. Like, there's so many different things that they are not yet comfortable with playing on a summer league team with, like, you got guards off the bench that think they have to chuck 20 shots to make it to the NBA. And guys like Connect, it's like he's going to be an off-ball guy mainly, off of LeBron, off of AD, off of the stars of that team. He's not going to be a number one, like, he's going to be used in summer league. So there's so much context that goes into summer league struggles. That's why you can't read into it at all. And I already know if Clean comes in and struggles, like people are going to be reading into it. I wasn't the highest Clingan guy, but I will not roast him if he struggles in summer league. Like, he may look a little slow. Okay, he needs to work on his foot speed a little bit or maybe recognize things faster. Like, simple. He'll work on that. He's a rookie. And I just think after last year with the way people treated Scoot Henderson and overreacted to Scoot Henderson, like, I am not going to enjoy any overreactions, and they're sure to come after Summer League, man.
I'm curious how many people in chat watched that game that was on right before we went live with Utah and Memphis. That was a pretty interesting game. A lot of players on both rosters playing in that game. That I was just curious what your guys' thoughts were. Edie looked okay. Kind of showcased some of the things that made him successful in college, but also showed why he could struggle at times in the NBA. But thought overall he had a pretty good game. And this ties back into the Bronny thing, but I've mentioned this several times. Back in December, I went to a game at Oregon State. I watched USC play, and I don't know. It's just both Bronny and Isaiah Collier had that, like, I don't know. They just have that, like, aura about them, you know? Like, I hate to use that word, but, like, you know, they just, I don't know. They just feel like they like know the game and they like understand it and they play like they're good players. You know, that's kind of what I saw in Brandon Miller last year. But like, I don't know, it just kind of jumped out at me that like these guys are both like NBA players at the time. Now I did think they both looked smaller than they were listed, and that turned out to be correct. But yeah, I'm just watching Collier and his burst and passing vision and stuff in that game. Like, stuff like that, I think you can take from Summer League. Like, if dudes can play, like, you can notice it. Kind of like what we were saying about Cooper Flagg earlier.
Yeah, like, you can notice somebody's good traits, and the thing is like, maybe the windows they're making these passes aren't there in the NBA and they turn over the ball. You know what I mean? Like, there is obviously differences between Summer League and NBA. So, you know, can't fully read into it. It's just, if somebody has good traits, Summer League, rookie year, like, gives you confidence that, okay, they'll get that up to the NBA level, given some time. So I just, it's funny because people say, Blazers Uprise is just hot takes and clickbait and rage bait and blah, blah, blah. How much have I had to tell people to have patience and not overreact the last year and change, especially regarding Scoot? So Just funny how that works, Eric. Anyway, let's move on to free agency. Only one move I really want to talk about, unless
we're not going to break down Adonis Arms game for the Sacramento Kings.
No, that's quite the name, though. It's a pretty cool name. We'll break down more Summer League once I actually watch Summer League once it's in Vegas.
Yeah.
Once it's in Vegas. Or if somebody like dominates, but I have not watched a single minute of Summer League so far. Free agency, DeMar DeRozan to the Kings, Eric. I think it's a move that doesn't change anything for them.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean,
let me just say this, and then I'll let you go. DeMar DeRozan is that archetype that I've talked about a lot, where he's not good enough to be the number one player on a team, but he's not good enough off the ball to be like a number 3 player on a team. He's skilled and talented and can put the ball in the hoop, but he does not have a productive role to me on a winning team unless the team is maybe a number 1 defensive team that can really shoot the ball but has no creation and no rim pressure. It'd have to be the perfect situation for him to have a productive role on a winning team, or he'd be having to play with superstars that can just get it done anyways. The Kings, he doesn't help their defense. He not going to play super well, in my opinion, off of Sabonis and Fox. So I don't think that move makes him any better, even though it's the splashy move. Anyway.
The only thing I'll say to counter that is Sabonis has struggled in times offensively, especially in playoffs, just trying to create and score. His shot gets a little flat when he's tired. Fox is obviously a good scorer and can control the game, but Keegan's more of just a shooter. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be a top-notch creator ever. Maybe you got that in Devin Carter in the draft, but he potentially could space the floor as well. So they have a couple of shooters to go along with the questionable shooting of Fox and Sabonis. But I think DeRozan is the type of guy who can, in those playoff series, maybe just get you a bucket. I don't know. I think Fox is... I don't know. It's hard to say he's better than Lowry was, because obviously Lowry won a championship. But just scoring-wise, he's better, I guess. I don't know. I agree that it doesn't make them contenders or jump a tier or anything, but I do kind of like them not just sitting around and running it back.
Yeah, I just think if Fox and Sabonis are struggling, they're screwed because DeMar DeRozan is not good enough to carry that team if those two guys are struggling.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
At least they did something, though. They're not the Lakers.
I mean, he's been an all-star in the last couple of years, and he's still averaged 24 or 25 last year.
He's good. It's just the archetype.
Right.
It's just the archetype. He's a stats guy.
When they had Levine healthy and Vucevic isn't a good defensive center, and they had their moments when
they were a play-in team.
I mean, there was parts of the season, I think it was 2 years ago, where they were a little higher than a play-in team for a while, and then they fell off once Levine started having injury issues. But I don't know. They had their moments.
They are. That team is not good enough with DeRozan's number 1 to consistently stay above play-in level.
Right.
And if you had a better team, DeRozan's going to play off ball more. Which isn't his best role. So, it's contradictory to winning basketball for me.
I guess Marc Gasol was a good passer when he was in Toronto, but that was after DeRozan was gone.
They get rid of DeRozan, bring in Kawhi Leonard, go from they can't win anything in the playoffs, and then they win it all.
Yeah. I mean, that team... I talked about this with Samson Folk one time. I wonder what would have happened had Siakam had that jump that he had, but they kept the team mostly together and added Marc Gasol and those type of players.
Do you remember
with DeRozan and stuff?
Yeah. Do you remember though the way DeRozan would fall apart in the playoffs back then?
I mean, I don't.
Yeah, some brutal series.
Yeah.
And the thing is like that type of player. Russ was the same way, where he'd fall apart in playoffs. Like when you can't shoot threes, and you're relying upon like slashing without the ability to knock down threes, it's tougher in the playoffs because you can be more physical on drives. So if you can't like cleanly beat your guy off the dribble because they're not respecting your shot enough, you're going to get bumped more in the playoffs. It's going to be harder to get to the rim. And that's why guys like Russ and DeMar, and to a lesser extent Josh Giddey last year, like those types of guys always seem to fall apart in the playoffs.
Yeah. For sure.
Sorry, go ahead if you wanted to wrap up that.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder because I'm trying to think if DeRozan's played with a passing big like Sabonis. Maybe how Aaron
can kind of pass. He's not Sabonis,
kind of, but he's not. He's not like he doesn't have vision. I'm just trying to think of like Aaron Gordon, right? Goes to Denver and becomes a good cutter and plays off ball better than he ever had because of the vision of the big man. I know that's an extreme example because of both of those players, and obviously Jokic's the MVP. I'm just wondering if maybe DeRozan, at this point of his career, can learn how to be more of a cutter off ball if you get him with a good big man passer. I'm not saying it will happen. I'm just curious if maybe he finds a way to make it work.
Yeah, Aaron Gordon made that change when he was 25. DeRozan's about to be 35, so
right.
Not much confidence in that. And the thing is, like, Aaron Gordon defends as well. So like offensively cutter type, like, okay, he's gonna give you value on defense, and then he fills in the gaps on offense, and that's a good player. DeRozan doesn't really give you anything on defense. So to be a fill in the gaps guy at $25 million is kind of strange, especially for a non 3-point shooter. Like Gordon's a little bigger, a little more athletic, like from a standstill. DeRozan ain't the same athlete he used to be, so that's just where like I don't know. I don't see it going that way for DeMar. I think off the bench he could be a good like bench piece, but they're gonna start him and he's gonna probably play 32 to 35 minutes a game.
Well, the rumor is they're still trying to get Kuzma as well. We'll see if that happens.
I like Kuzma better for them, believe it or not, but still, it's kind of weird to.
Yeah.
That's your upgrades, Kuzma and DeRozan, huh?
Yeah,
because Kuzma's a sub 34% 3-point shooter. 33.6% last year, 33.7% for his career. And that's where it's like the Lakers talking about, and we'll segue this. The Lakers talking about, oh, maybe they don't go after Grant. Maybe they go after Kuzma. The last 2 years, Grant shot above 40% from 3. Kuzma's been at 33%. That's a 7 percentage point difference. That's a drastic difference.
Yeah.
Kuzma's a little better passer, but you don't need, if you're the Lakers, you don't need that player to be a really good passer. You got LeBron. Like, Austin Reeves can make the right play. Like, I don't know, Kuzma handled a lot of playmaking duties in Washington that he probably wouldn't handle in LA if he returned to the Lakers. It's funny because you look at his assists. He averaged 1.9 his final year in LA. Then he went to Washington. It jumped to 3.5. I would expect it to jump back down. You need a guy that can knock down threes, cut, attack closeouts well, get downhill, attack, finish at the rim off of plays like that, and then play some defense. And Grant, to me, is just a much clearer fit than Kyle Kuzma, especially when you look at the reports, Eric, that the Wizards want 2 first-round picks for Kyle Kuzma, just like the Portland Trail Blazers want 2 first-round picks for Jerami Grant.
Yeah, the only thing Kuzma has a clear advantage on Jerami is rebounding. I mean, that's like easily a much better skill is rebounding.
But what were the Lakers ranked rebounding wise last year?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is like with LeBron and Anthony Davis, do you really need rebounding that much, or is it more important to space the floor? And I think it's more important to space the floor.
I will say the Lakers were the worst offensive rebounding team. Defensive rebounding, they were 12th. But you're not making a trade for a small forward, power forward type for their offensive rebounding. You're not giving them 2 first-round picks for their offensive rebounding. So ultimately, I still think Grant is the better play for the Lakers. Grant gives them a better chance to win. But Eric, we haven't streamed since Wednesday because there's just been nothing regarding the Blazers. Have you heard anything? Is there anything we can talk about new that we did not talk about last Wednesday?
Well, before I answer that, Pim Rose had that $20 donation that I cut you off from reading earlier.
True.
He says, it's summer and it's hot in the Pacific Northwest with a cactus desert emoji. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it.
Freaking hot, man. Thank you for the donation.
It is very hot.
How hot is it supposed to be tomorrow?
Tori and I are idiots and played basketball when it was 97 out.
We started at 7. Hopefully it was going to be cooler. Tomorrow it's going to be 101.
Yeah, I saw it could be 104, 105 in some places.
Yeah, it's pissing me off. I don't have AC. At least you have AC. I know you turned it off.
I just have a portable unit.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Because it's 90 degrees in here, bro.
It's still hot even with that. That's why I'm cooking now.
I'm sitting here having to internally relax myself so I don't sweat. You ever do that when it's hot, but you mentally stop yourself from sweating, or is that just a me thing?
I can't mentally stop myself from sweating, but
I don't know if that made any sense to anybody watching this stream, but hopefully at least one person in chat can be that makes sense.
That's I heard the Ducks coach, Dan Lanning, I heard him once say that being sick is a choice, and he chooses not to get sick, so he doesn't. That's kind of same.
Oh, God, man. I got told today that my flight anxiety is a choice.
What kind is?
Yeah. I was bro, if I could choose not to have flight anxiety, I freaking would. I would. In case you guys don't know, I airplanes, heights, I've struggled with them the past, 10 years of my life. Hey, I will say this. Coming back from my run, I did drive across the 405 Fremont Bridge, which normally is a struggle for me. Because I don't like being up that high, especially on a bridge. Mm-hmm. Handled it pretty well, so maybe I'm ready to fly to Seattle or something. But,
nice.
Yeah, flight anxiety, not a choice. I'll just say that. Me dying to heat right now, not a choice, just don't have AC.
Mm-hmm.
Sound like you need to go skydiving, Tori. Yeah, no, I think that's a terrible idea. Especially given, Eric, my life's background. We won't go into that.
Hey, Roasted USA says, you all see Cooper Flagg giving USA the business today? We need that kid.
Facts. Some people in chat, though, you see Cooper Flagg on the left. Some people in chat were saying Ace Bailey's better, though. And that Cooper Flagg, it's just a scrimmage. He's just 17, competing against Hall of Famers and holding his own, but it's just a scrimmage. So you would enjoy that segment of the show. Anyway, Eric.
Are we
shout
lagging,
to Pim.
or is that just me?
You're lagging.
Wow.
Or am I lagging? No, I don't think I'm lagging.
Dang it. What's wrong with my internet? You can still hear me, though, right?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay, so back to your question of whether we've heard anything since the last time we talked. Well, first, let's set the stage. What did we say last time? That was the Blazers' stance.
They want 2 first-round picks for Jerami Grant.
And they're not going to budge, according to the things right now, right?
Correct.
Well, since we've said that, both super-duper Blazer reporters, Sean Hyken and Danny Meringue, have both said that as well, that the Blazers are going to be patient. They are not going to cave in unless someone meets their demands. and they will simply not trade either of those guys unless a team gives in. And I think right now that's the correct approach to have. Like, just wait for a team to cave. Now, if it gets closer to the season, maybe start to rethink that theory. But I think right now there's no reason to rush into a trade or give up leverage just because you don't feel like waiting. There's no point in not waiting right now.
Yeah, 100%. We've been saying that is the case. And then on the Anfernee Simons front, actually, there is something to talk about. Because there's a tweet on the 4th of July, a Dunk Central tweet, quoting a Hyken article that said, Anfernee Simons' status is worth keeping an eye on. On draft night, Cronin said the Blazers are committed to building around Scoot Henderson and Shaedon Sharpe, and didn't mention Simons' name. Simons also appears open to a move. At his end-of-season exit interview in April, he said he wants the opportunity to win, which is very plainly not where the Blazers are right now, or will be in the next few years. All I'll say is this. Hopefully you picked up on the hints before that report that I gave about Anfernee Simons. Okay? That's all I'll say. Because...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
You didn't see that today then, I guess?
No.
Both have clarified that there has absolutely been no discussion between Anfernee and the team regarding trading him.
Which is what I would expect them to say.
No trade request.
That's what I would expect them to say. If he's not going to get traded, that's what I would expect him to say. Eric, that's all I'll say. Okay?
Okay.
Because they are not going to sit here and say, yeah, we're keeping him, but he demanded a trade. Well, they're not going to say that. So, I mean, I am not 100% certain of stuff that I've heard leading up to that. But basically, that whole report from Hyken was basically in lockstep with like some of the weird things that I was hearing about Simons like being open to a move, and maybe I heard or it was worded a little bit stronger. Ultimately, he has no trade market. They're not going to trade him. They're not going to trade him. So he's going to be back, and they're going to play it cool, and maybe that truly was the way it was. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, but I do think it was interesting that Hyken was teasing that
Hyken said
multiple times.
Hyken said that was his interpretation of both press conferences, that it had nothing to do with...
We're talking about a dude that is cool with Cronin.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway. And a dude that doesn't usually speculate.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
Before all this, they said that I've heard the exact opposite of what you've heard. Just for the record, so I don't know. I'm not saying either of us are right or wrong. I've heard that there is tension in the sense that this is what Hyken brought up, is that Anfernee, that question we posed earlier, 50 games into the season, we're fighting for a playoff team, or playoff seed. We pull the chute. Anfernee's going to be pissed off. He is not going to be happy and might demand a trade then. But everything I've heard is that there has been absolutely zero talk between Anfernee and the team about requesting a trade or demanding a trade or anything regarding a trade this offseason.
Yeah, it's just funny how I heard the complete opposite. We've never had competing intel before. And listen, my intel's been wrong before, but I trust it. And it was also like 2 different places, so I don't know. It was strange stuff. It's just complete opposite, so I don't know. If there was tension and maybe Ant was open to wanting out, I would expect them to patch things over and act like that wasn't real. Okay? So, who knows?
But I've been hearing this the whole time you've been, because I've been asking the same thing to, I don't know. It's just kind of weird.
It is very
weird. Like you said, it's never been exact opposite before.
Yeah, it's the first time it's happened. Maybe it's not the last time. I don't know. But ultimately, I even started pumping the brakes on it because Orlando was the team I thought was going to go after him. And ultimately, if you're the Blazers and you got Sharp, you got Scoot, you got Ant, either you think all three can work, or you're wondering if you have to trade one of them down the line. It's either or. Like, and maybe part of it's like, oh, we need to find out if they work. Okay, well then, what if they don't? Ultimately, you're going to have to trade one. And that's the point they're at right now. So,
I don't...
Could I...
Go ahead.
Never mind. I lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't think it has to be that either you know it's going to work or it's not, or you have to trade one. I think you can go into this one season seeing... giving it one more year if it works.
Yeah, that's what I just said. And that's what they're going to do. Because ultimately, it does not make sense to trade any of the three. I thought Orlando might put together a package that could have been good enough for Ant, depending on how you feel about Anthony Black. Because it just logically made sense to me. Not hearing anything, like, there was never actually even a rumor Ant tied to Orlando, but for a while now it's been like, okay, well, Ant's from there.
Like, every single person.
What does Orlando need? They need shot creation and shooting. They have a really good defense. They have ball handling at forward spots, so they don't even need a pure point guard. They don't even run a pure point guard. So that takes some of the playmaking responsibilities off of Ant, and Ant gives them exactly what they need, which is shot creation. They don't have enough shot creation. They had some awful offensive games against the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round in that 4-5 series. Awful offensive games. And, you know, Cleveland matched up pretty well with them when you have Jared Allen, Evan Mobley to deal with a guy like Paulo. It's just tough, especially with him being in the second year. Needs some experience. Ultimately, everybody agreed. They need shot creation. They need shooting. Ant, in my opinion, was the perfect player for a multitude of reasons for them to go out and get. And they elected to go for guys that are shooters, but not shot creators. They went for KCP, and then I'm blanking on the other name. Who was the other guy they went after? Who's the other guy they signed?
They just re-signed a bunch of their own guys, didn't they?
Yeah, I thought they signed someone else, though. I'm blanking. Oh, yeah, they brought back Gary Harris. I think that's who I'm thinking about.
Yeah,
Gary Harris,
all
KCP.
Guys,
yeah, Gary Harris' own guy. That's who I was thinking of, though. Those guys aren't shot creators. Those guys are like 3-and-D guys, which is good to have. But they don't have a single guard they can rely on for shot creation.
Well, Suggs takes a leap or something.
Unless, I mean, I would love that as a Gonzaga fan. So, ultimately, it was like, okay, Orlando's the spot for Anfernee Simons. They didn't go after him.
I heard they didn't even call Portland about Anfernee.
And it's like, if a team like Orlando doesn't even call Portland about Anfernee, what team is willing to give up good value for Anfernee? It's not out there. I don't know. He has he does not have a market that's suitable for his talent. He's far better than his trade market. Ultimately, that leads to no matter what potentially happened, he's staying.
Yeah, because I mean, is he really that much different than like Emmanuel Quickley last year going to Toronto and getting a big contract there? And I don't know. It's not. I don't think it's that much different.
What do you mean different in what way?
Like in terms of how we could go to a team and be their lead guard or whatever, like Toronto feels like they found in Emmanuel Quickley.
Yeah, but like Toronto, I don't think was willing to give up much for Emmanuel Quickley.
No, yeah.
Listen, if Ant gets traded, it's probably a team like Portland just like, oh, we want to move forward with Scoot and Sharp, and we're just going to trade Ant because we don't think the three guards can work, and we like Scoot, we like Sharp. So they trade Ant to a team that gives up a bargain for him, and then Ant goes there and is their lead guard and averages like 23 and 5. That is the most likely trade scenario, which that does not make Portland look good at all.
No.
So I said going into the offseason, I did not think Ant would get traded. I heard some things and thought, okay, it might be likely. I thought Orlando was going to be the team. And then they just didn't freaking care. So his trade market's even worse. Yeah, well, his trade market's even worse than I thought. And I thought it wasn't that good to begin with. They're stuck with the three guards.
Donovan Mitchell, yeah.
They're stuck with the three guards. Even if they don't work, they still might have to try and make it work. Because I don't think they can justify trading one of them for the return that they'd ultimately get back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this. If LA gave us connect both first and a swap for both Jerami and Anfernee, are you taking it?
Connect both first and a swap?
Yeah, or maybe just connect and both first, because that's a lot.
No, you said swap. I'll take it with the swap.
Yeah. So you're not doing it without the swap?
No, I'm taking it with the swap. Well, it depends on what year the swap is, too.
Yeah.
If it's like 2029, swap in 2030 and 2031 and connect? I mean, how do you say no to that? Then you just clear the books. You clear the books next season. Whatever salary you get back, you try and flip it for expirings. And you go into next offseason. Try move off 8 and for an expiring and whatever value you can get. You go into next offseason, you got $70 million in cap space. And all of a sudden, then you can trade for unprotected swaps from other teams just for taking on like guys like Devontae Graham or whoever. Or Harrison Barnes. The Spurs literally got an unprotected swap in 2031 with the Kings for taking on Harrison Barnes? 18 million?
So stupid.
I would love for the Blazers to be in that position. If they can get back justifiable pick and young player value for Simons and Grant and then just move forward with Scoot and Sharp and then be in that position to just accumulate assets on assets while also being worse and probably having a better pick next year, to me, that is improving the odds that one day they win a championship. I understand if people don't want to do that. To me, I would do that because I feel like it improves our chances of winning a championship in the controllable future. Yeah, Graham wasn't a good example. I was thinking Spurs players, yeah, because Spurs traded unprotected first, or Spurs got an unprotected first-round pick swap for simply taking on Harrison Barnes. The Hornets got Josh Green, who's a good player, for like nothing because they could absorb his salary. And under the new CBA, you're going to have a lot more opportunities to take on salary with assets attached as teams try and stay under these aprons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I would say also Charlotte got 3 seconds for taking on Reggie Jackson's $5 million contract, which was a pretty good deal. But then we just trade those seconds for cash, so it wouldn't matter anyway.
Facts.
Still, like I know people say, "Oh, why do you care second round pick?" It still pisses me off that we turn the 40th pick into cash.
It pisses me off because Cronin said at one point, and you said this in the Rip City Retro podcast, it's the new currency of the NBA or something like that. Well, okay, don't trade that NBA currency for currency in Jody's pocketbooks then, because how does that help the NBA team?
Yeah. I mean, look at all these deals that got facilitated basically just using second round picks. Like almost every signing turned into a second round pick swap with sign and trades, you know, because teams are getting smart about how to manage their cap and stuff.
Yep. Man. Anyway, that's the latest update. I think the Blazers are done, Eric. Unless... Sorry, go ahead.
Anfernee and Grant would be dang good. And man, don't make me root for LA. No, I wouldn't root for him. That's the wrong word. Don't. Crap,
what'd you say? Sacrilegious. Oh my goodness.
Someone's gonna clip that crap.
Clip it, chat.
Yeah, I deserve that one. But no, I don't want to have to like check in on my boy playing for LA. God, that would suck.
At least we'd have Connect, Eric.
They'd be so good. Anfernee and Grant with LeBron and AD.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to see Ant in a Lakers uniform, man. That would kind of hurt, in a way.
But you're right, they're not getting injured. And I have, today's the 8th? So I have, 20, wait, how many, is there 31 in? Yeah, there's 31 in July, right? 31 days?
Yep.
So I have 24 days until Kyle Neely owes me $20.
This is why you feel so strongly about that. I wish I got in on that bet too at the time. I would have felt a little worried about it a week ago, but
dude, you had me so worried. I was like, bugging this person like every day for like weeks. Like, please tell me this is the truth. Like,
dude, like it was the most legitimate sounding thing I've heard.
Yeah,
because I don't hear much. Like I don't like started to branch out a little bit. It was the most legitimate sounding thing I've heard, but at the same time, it's like just no market. So that's the thing I wonder too, is like which one of the three guards are they lowest on? Or are they like children where we love all of you equally? They have to be lowest on one of the three, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's normal, I guess.
I mean, this ain't parenthood. So I don't know. The Blazers are done, I guess. They had one day, Eric. One day where they have a little flurry, and then it's just nothing.
I still think Grant could be traded.
Who are you bringing off the... Okay, the Kings strike out on Kuzma and feel like they still need to do something? Maybe.
Well, I think the Lakers could.
I think the Lakers would have done it already. The Deni trade leaves me believing they're lower on Scoot. How does the Deni trade relate to Scoot at all? Deni's a small forward, power forward. Scoot's a point guard. I don't really understand that. You there?
Yeah, sorry, my dog was drinking, so I was muted.
We like that type of ASMR.
It's weird because I think they were definitely hoping Scoot would be their best player last year. They just hit the ground running, obviously, with Joe's comments. But I think they clearly thought Anfernee was their best player last year. But now I don't know if that's just they don't want that to be true or whatever. They're just hopeful that... I still think they think Sharp is going to be the best out of the three. But, yeah, I don't know.
You know what's funny, too, about that is, like... Sharp had some really good moments last year, and there's some context going into, like, he was kind of being ran to the ground when he struggled. Statistically, you can make the case that he wasn't much better than Scoot. I was comparing their stats the other day. You're very silent after that statement.
Nice.
What?
I mean, it's hard to compare. Like I've been saying all along, the defensive attention both of them received.
Yeah, well, 100%. Like I said, there's context that goes into that. It's just I forgot Sharp's stats because I haven't really been thinking about stats at the top of my head, and I looked back, man. Like there were moments where he looked like a star. He has some real rough moments. Where is he truly? Because I feel like we just did not get a good gauge for him last year.
I mean, his efficiency was not there last year. It was pretty bad.
He was 33.3% from three. People say Scoot can't shoot. He was 32.5%. He was within a percentage point. Scoot that can see actually had a higher percentage when he started wearing contacts. But teams are leaving him open and teams are guarding Sharp. Like, that's the difference. But what were you saying?
What was Sharp's the year before?
36%.
Yeah.
36%. 80 games, 3.5 attempts a game. It was good volume. But that's just where it's like, we don't know where Sharp is as a three-point shooter. Because a lot of that was like catch and shoot stuff. But the best version of Sharp is like hitting threes off the dribble. How far away is he from being efficient enough hitting threes off the dribble to where it's a strength?
Yeah.
Because if you're shooting 33%, it's not good enough. So I think he'll grow to that. It's just, man, like, Scoot at the end of the year was hitting threes off the dribble. So what is Scoot next season from three, assuming he's improving his shot this offseason? I don't know. Yeah. I think there's a world where Scoot could have a better three-point percentage next year than Sharp, which sounds wild to say, but I wouldn't be shocked. I would bet on Sharp having the higher three-point percentage, Eric, but I don't know.
There's also a very logical explanation that his core injury affected him the entire year, and then when he got ran to the ground, it just made it worse. And now that's cleared up, he should be better, and hopefully not playing 42 minutes a game.
Yeah. I mean, we complained about that. I complained about that a lot last season. 100%. And that's why it's like, I don't know what he is. He might shoot 38% from three next year. Like, oh, he's healthy and he's not being ran to the ground and he's this caliber shooter. Like, okay, I wouldn't be shocked. Or it's just off the dribble shooting some of the 3-point attempts that he did last year. He's like a 33, 34% shooter. So I don't know. Like that, there's a range. There's a range for Sharp. I'm hoping he shoots above 35% from three. Off like some of the off dribble jumpers he was shooting last year. I hope just his efficiency improves as he shoots some of these tough threes, because that is what would make him a really good player. Because then how do you keep him in front if you have to respect every hezzy he throws in, every step back? You know, he step backs, doesn't pick up his dribble. Like, you got to chase him off the line if he's hitting those. You're forcing defenders to go over screens every time, even if they're maybe deeper threes, like they can't slide under, so that gives the pick and roll more room. It's all the stuff that Dame was really good at that made him really good, shooting some of the threes that he shot and made. Can Sharp be that type of shooter, and how far away is he? Hopefully he doesn't get hurt next year, because I think next year we will get a much better gauge on that than we were able to get last year, unfortunately.
What if Scoot improves his three off the dribble so much that teams want him to drive because his finishing is so bad?
Then I think
that'd be so weird. Like,
I think his finishing would get much better.
I know. Just like
that would be fascinating. Like, and that's the fun part about next season. I know some people don't want to lose, but we're gonna learn a lot about Scoot and Sharp next year. Which I said we're gonna learn a lot about the team going into last year. Like, that's the thing in rebuilds, is you have players that should improve a ton, and you don't know what you have going into the season necessarily. Whereas, like, when we're running it back with a veteran-laden team without making many changes, like, we knew what we had going into each season. 2016, 2017, like, at most it was like, maybe Evan Turner can be a difference maker. Okay. Cool. Great. So that's the thing. That's the fun part of a rebuild of losing is Deni Avdija legitimately a 37% three-point shooter? That's what he shot last year, but he was like 29 to 31% his first three seasons. So was that an outlier year, or was that improvement? Who knows? Mm-hmm. I think it's improvement. Hearing him talk, he talked about that today in his interview. I think it's just legitimate improvement and just the mental side of shooting. But, you know, it would make me feel a lot better about his shooting to see him first like 10, 15 games knocking down threes at 37, 38%. Because he was not a three-point shooter until last year.
I mean, I really hope that's who he is.
Fingers crossed, man. We need some of these guys to like be good shooters. And I have hope that like Sharp, Scoot, or Deni, I have hope that at least one of them is going to shoot 37% from three. It's probably Sharp or Deni, but I don't know which one. And if it's Scoot, then that's a really good sign.
Yeah, I'd bet anyone that it's Sharp is the highest out of those three, but I mean, that's not a stretch or anything.
I just, people say like Scoot can't shoot, and that just drives me crazy. The Scoot, like, 32.5% isn't great, but for him as a starting point, Especially like he started the year 2 for 24, then started wearing contacts, shot better, and then he shot some tough off the dribble threes, like step back threes at the end of last season, and had that game he was 6 for 6 from 3. Like, you saw him grow from the 3-point line, and he was like a capable shooter the last month and a half of the season. It's like there's still fans to talk about him like he can't shoot. Like, let him build off of what he did last season. Let him build off his improvements last year. Because he definitely did improve. Same thing with finishing. Like, he struggled pretty much all year. He was dealing with a packed paint. His defenders didn't really respect the 3-point shot. The 3-point shot improves. It's going to be easier to beat him off the dribble. Hopefully he can have more spacing this year. It's going to be easier around the rim. And then he has to work on things. He has to get better with his left. He has to know when to, like, jump into the body of the shot blocker. He got to the free throw line quite a bit as a rookie. If he can just become an average finisher and get to the free throw line regularly off his drives and then collapse the defense and make kick-out passes of that, then he's a good driver, even if his finishing isn't good. If it's just okay. Because he's getting to the free throw line, that's a super efficient play. He had some really impressive kick-out passes last year. And despite his like rim finishing, he could still collapse defenses. So that's my hope, is the 3-point shot comes along, it's just average, makes it a little easier for him to drive, and then he can get to the line, make the right kick-out passes, and then just be like a 50% guy, 52% guy at the rim. Like, that's still not efficient, but if you get into the line a lot, like, I'll take that improvement. You know what I mean? It still needs work, but it would be good improvement for year 2 from a 20-year-old.
For sure. I really hope you're right.
You don't think that would be good?
No, I mean, I'm just saying I really hope you're right that his shooting is something that wasn't just like a good stretch or something, you know?
We will have to do a stream before the season where we predict stats for every player.
Oh, yeah, my favorite thing.
And then we look back at it at the end of the season.
Yeah. All right.
Chris Murray, 19% from 3. Just kidding. I have an open mind on Chris Murray now, okay?
So if I say
it.
Scoot's going to shoot 34% from 3, you're going to say I'm a hater or something?
No, I'd actually be surprised that you went that high. 34% year 2 is fine. He's on his way to 36%. If he can be 36%, I think that's like my goal for his career, getting to that point.
I see Chase in chat. We both had the opportunity to meet Chase. He came out here from Florida, and so it was cool to meet you, Chase.
Yeah, it was dope. Chase has a nice beard. Also, he hates Houston's airport or something, I was reading today.
Yeah.
Never been there.
Let's watch our game footage live on there.
Just kidding. It's too hot for that, bro. You're going to remind me of how hot it was when we played. And I'm going to start feeling the heat in here that I have been consciously ignoring.
Yeah.
So that I don't sweat.
Yourself.
Yeah. Anyway.
You're making yourself cool.
This has been a fun stream. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Anything else, Eric?
Thought I had something else, but yeah. Anyone have any quick questions before we go? We haven't really answered too many things from chat.
True. I'll put my shoes on while chat asks these questions because I am not staying in this hot ass room.
And as Tori's mentioned a few times, there's a new Rip City Retro. If you're not familiar with that, go check out Rip City Retro's page. Rich Finley and I did an episode, and then also on our second channel, Blazers Uprise podcast, there was a new Hoops Crush episode as well today.
Are you guys still in panic mode about trading Ant and Grant? There's a comment in chat that's the voice I read it in.
Chad, we've literally talked.
No, Eric, we're freaking panicking, bro. We're freaking panicking. I'm freaking out, man.
I guess
if they
I'm
don't,
not allowed to use the word panic anymore.
If they don't trade Grant, I'm a freak out, bro. Just letting you know. Full panic mode. That TV behind me that's like on the thing behind me, I'm throwing that if we don't trade him. I'm throwing that at the camera. And then I'm shutting down the channel. Can't stand for it.
I got so much crap for saying it was time to panic about Gary Payton II, and look what ended up happening.
Yeah, the only time Mr. Cool Eric Brandt panicked, it was justified because of GP 2 weeks.
And everyone freaking killed me for saying that.
So if Eric panics, you better panic too.
That bitch.
And with that, man, what? Okay, final question. What is with panic mode being like a new phrase where, like, if you ever talk about anything being a potential issue, it's like, quote unquote, panicking. Is that like some new Gen Z way of talking? Like, am I just not... I don't get it.
It's just like with everything, it's goat or trash. It's like the best or the worst. So, like, if you talk about something, you would either, like, freaking... You're, like, super negative. Like, Tori, you were negative this whole episode.
So you either love that Jody's in the tax or you're panicking about it? Is that how it works?
I guess. You can't mention that the Blazers are in the tax because that's panicking.
Yeah. You can't talk about it being a potential issue if they don't solve it, or it being a problem if they cut somebody and take on dead money. No, that means you're panicking. And then when they find the perfect trade, that means you got proven wrong, Eric.
Yeah.
I love narratives. I love arguments. It's summer though. We won't have much of those for a while. Thank goodness. I get tired of them. What comment? I'm losing my mind. It's hot. Comment says, just got here. What did they do? Who? Why is that comment panicking about whoever they is? Anyway, I can't even talk straight, Eric. Anything else?
Well, thanks everyone for watching. Have a great day. Hope you all stay cool if you're in the area. Yeah. Kevin, we answered that at the beginning of the show.
I have none, bro. I'm suffering. I'm suffering out here. So I'm going outside. I got my shoes on already. I'm going outside.
You're gonna go touch grass.
Might touch some grass, bro. Might touch some trees or something. Just, it's about time, right? So, anyway. Shout out to those of you who are going to rewatch the stream. It's been a fun stream. We're out of here. We'll catch you guys live again on Thursday, unless the Blazers do something. Probably not. So we'll probably see you Thursday. But Summer League stream on Saturday. That should be fun. We will live react to Summer League game number 1. Hopefully our lottery pick,
Cling Kong,
can play through the whole game.
Yeah.
Because the last 2 years, that has not gone well. Bro, I swear, we will never do a Summer League game again if Kling Kong gets, like, banged up in game 1. Because it's just bad luck, Eric.
Edie went down tonight with an ankle injury, and then, like, he was being taken to the locker room, and then was like, nah, I'm going back to the bench, and came right back in the game.
What is Portland Blazers Summer League game on? ESPN? No, Blazers Uprise. That's where you can find the game. We won't actually stream it, but we will live react. Should be fun. Anyway, right here. Check out Rip City Retro. Check out Hoops Crush. New podcasts that were dropped in the past few days. Check them out. Shout out to you guys. We're out of here. Thank you to Pim for donating, and until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers!